Today, we're going to talk about some new research that might just flip everything you've ever heard about prediabetes on its head. It turns out that number one rule you've been told to follow might not be the whole story. If you, or maybe someone you know, has prediabetes, I bet this sounds familiar. It's almost always the very first thing a doctor tells you: lose weight. And, it seems to make sense, right? It's been the go-to advice for decades. The logic feels solid. Drop a few pounds, and you'll lower your risk of getting type 2 diabetes. But this is where our story takes a really interesting turn. What if that number on your bathroom scale has been distracting you from what's really going on inside your body? A new study is suggesting that we might have been obsessing over the wrong thing this whole time. Okay, so let's back up a second. Why has lose weight been the mantra for so long? Well, it really comes down to the massive scale of this problem. I mean, just let that sink in. More than a third of all adults in the US have pre-diabetes. That's huge. And with a health issue that widespread, it kind of makes sense that doctors would want one clear, simple target for everyone. And just so we're all on the same page, prediabetes is exactly what it sounds like. Your blood sugar levels are high. Not quite in the type 2 diabetes range yet, but definitely on that path. It's a major warning sign. So for years and years, the medical playbook has been laser focused on this one thing. Every lifestyle change, every recommendation was all about making that number on the scale go down. Until now, that is. And this brings us to a groundbreaking study published in Nature Medicine that is completely changing the conversation. Okay, get this. This is the big one. Researchers found that people were able to get their blood sugar back to normal, healthy levels, basically putting their prediabetes into remission without losing any weight. Some people in the study even gained a little. And the results were just incredible. The folks who got their blood sugar under control, even if their weight stayed the same, they slashed their risk of developing type 2 diabetes in the future by a whopping 70%. So here's the key takeaway. The life-changing benefit wasn't about shedding pounds. It was about the body regaining its ability to manage blood sugar properly. This leads to a huge question. If it's not about losing fat, what is it about? Well, the answer seems to be all about where your body decides to store its fat. Because it turns out there's a world of difference between the fat you can see and the fat you can't. So there are two main players here. First, you have visceral fat. This is the bad stuff. It's packed deep inside your belly, wrapped around your organs, and it pumps out inflammatory molecules that just mess everything up. But then there's subcutaneous fat. This is the layer right under your skin, and it's actually much healthier. It can even help your body handle insulin better. And this right here is the secret sauce the researchers figured out. The real magic wasn't in the total amount of fat, but in where the body was putting it. Just look at this table, it's wild. The group that successfully reversed their prediabetes, they actually increased their amount of the healthier subcutaneous fat. And the group that didn't get better, they saw an increase in that dangerous visceral fat around their organs. Same overall weight, but a completely different story happening on the inside. And this simple shift in where fat was stored had all these amazing ripple effects. The remission group's bodies got way better at using sugar for energy. The little cells in the pancreas that make insulin started working better, and they even had more of a helpful hormone called adiponectin, which fights inflammation. So what does all this mean for us? Well, it means we can finally stop being a slave to the bathroom scale. We can shift our focus to a much more meaningful goal, improving how our bodies actually work. And the really good news, we already know how to do this. The path to better blood sugar and healthier fat storage is built on these 4 pillars. They might look familiar, but now we understand their true purpose in a whole new way. When it comes to exercise, we're not just trying to burn calories anymore. We're trying to reduce that harmful visceral fat and make our bodies more sensitive to insulin. A good mix of aerobic activity, like a brisk walk, plus some resistance training a few times a week seems to be the sweet spot. And it's the same idea with your diet. This is not about some miserable, super restrictive plan. It's about choosing foods that help your body work better. Think Mediterranean style. Lots of fiber, healthy fats from things like nuts and olive oil, and way less processed junk and sugar. The study's author, Dr. Andreas Birkenfeld, really hit the nail on the head. He said, don't focus on the scale alone. Achieving remission matters more for diabetes prevention than hitting a specific weight loss number. The real victory isn't a number. It's getting your body back in balance. So maybe this leaves us with a new question to ask ourselves. Instead of just focusing on weight loss, maybe it's time to start thinking about healthy fat distribution. Perhaps the question isn't how much do I weigh, but how well is my body working? Definitely something to think about.